Trinamool Congress MPs who are now protesting over the same issue. They're talking about how the small savings of the common man could have been duped because of the Adani issue, and that's a question they want to ask the government on. One question which of course always arises is that if the topic is the same, then why are the protests different and separate? Well, clearly the answer is that TMC doesn't want to be seen on the same page of the other political parties, particularly the Congress party. In a short while from now, the Trinamool Congress MPs will also be addressing a press conference. So on today, when we saw the House predictably ending the same way it has over the last week and also yesterday, ghirawing the government over the Adani issue, discussing and debating is what they want. They also want a JPC to be set up, whereas the BJP is cornering the Congress party on the issue of Rahul Gandhi, demanding that he must apologize. So here the Trinamool Congress MPs are of course now addressing the media.
Okay, I just want to ask you, Pallavi, one thing the TMC seems to have been quite certain about over the last few days is though they are angry about this issue, they don't want a JPC. What reason have they given for that?
So there has been a very detailed response of the Trinamool Congress on why a JPC doesn't make sense. According to them, one, the JPC is headed by the BJP, which is the ruling party. So therefore, there's never ever going to be a non-partisan investigation into the entire matter. Second, the JPC doesn't have that kind of sanctity because at the end of the day, when the JPC's report is stable on the floor of the House, it's the prerogative of the government whether to accept the contents of the JPC or not. They feel that in contrast, the Supreme Court or a court-monitored probe will certainly have more sanctity, it will be non-partisan, it will be more genuine, and therefore it makes more sense to actually go in for a court-monitored probe than a joint parliamentary committee probe.
Okay, Pallavi, just stay with us for a second, please. Our colleague Arunima, who is also covering the same story, brings us this ground report. Take a look.
Have come up with a unique way of protest. Behind me are the parliamentarians who have now gone on to the first floor of the parliament building and they are carrying out protests here demanding JPC. You can see a human chain being created. I can see Pramod Tiwari there, Imran Pratapgarhi from the Congress side, and there are members of the other political parties as well. The 18 parties, Mallikarjun Kharge is there. So they're trying to take some kind of a poster or a banner demanding JPC that has been spread across the pillars. This is the first floor of the Parliament House building. How that poster is being readied and Hidi Abin can be seen there. Okay, there goes the poster. So this is a unique form of protest where they are coming up with a poster demanding the Joint Parliamentary Committee. There's a picture of the Prime Minister and Mr. Adani that the opposition is showing here, and what they're alleging is that this is crony capitalism and this part of crony capitalism must be probed. So that's the protest that is going on here in the Parliament House building. Week 2 of the opposition protest, week 2 of the Parliament not functioning, and this is the new tactics that the opposition has resorted to, joint opposition protest here inside Parliament House.
Let's go back to my colleague Pallavi. Pallavi, as we keep an eye on the opposition protest, I just want to ask you, has there been some discomfort in the opposition over the spotlight the BJP has shown on Wayanad MP, senior Congress leader, obviously, Rahul Gandhi?
But if you notice, the rest of the opposition, they have not been speaking out much in support of the Congress party or Rahul Gandhi's comments in UK. I think they do understand that what the BJP is doing is playing this entire narrative about the Congress party being anti-national, maligning the image of the country when he's abroad, and really is this it? Whenever we've seen in the past, if the opposition has got involved in this whole debate and discussion about, the nationalism debate or the Pulwama strikes, it's largely been something to do with the Congress party. The rest of the opposition usually distances itself from it. So in that sense, the opposition unity is limited now to one specific topic, which is that of the Adani issue inside the parliament by rest of the opposition parties like the the BJP, the Congress party, the RJD, the SP, so on and so forth. And outside it's only Trinamool Congress. But in defense of Rahul Gandhi, not many of the opposition parties are certainly coming out.
Okay. Pallavi, thank you. Stay with us. Let's go over to my colleague Arunima. Arunima is with us live. live also. Arunima, you were bringing us coverage of the opposition leaders, everyone of course except for the TMC, holding placards as we can see still on the right side of our screens. Arunima, bring us more details and tell me, when the parliament starts again in a little more than 2 hours from now, any clarity on what the strategy is going to be?
Yes, as far as those corridors are concerned, Rajesh is just panning towards that corridor and you can see that the opposition members are all moving out. Why that part of the corridor is significant is that the door that you see behind is the door that leads you to the State Bank of India branch actually. And their allegation has been the State Bank of India and LIC have been affected and therefore this is public money and hence there should be a probe. So very strategic choice of the location there. This is unprecedented. We've not really seen, protests happening in that corridor. And the parliamentary security staff was a little, caught off guard when that huge banner demanding JPC was concerned. So they've really set the tone. They're looking for innovative ways to register their protest. You're right, Trinamool Congress was not party to this. Trinamool Congress MPs carried out a separate protest at the Vijay Chowk area. And inside the house also, the strategy is the same, to continue to demand JPC on the Adani issue, on the allegations of crony capitalism. The Treasury is still vehement that they will not let the House function till Rahul Gandhi apologizes. So looks very unlikely that there is any way out that can be found, even though Home Minister Amit Shah has said that the government is willing to walk 2 steps if the opposition does. But beyond just those words, we don't see any step being taken here in Parliament House to get that impasse to be broken, even though Speaker is making appeal every day.
Okay, and Arunima, if you could also highlight for us, what is the mood right now between each of these parties? We know, for example, with the SP, that you've had Akhilesh Yadav not lose a chance when it comes to, taking a swipe at Rahul Gandhi. At the same time, I believe the SP is out in support with the Congress and with a number of other opposition parties right now in those visuals that we could see a few minutes ago, protesting, asking for the JPC.
Yes, Samajwadi Party is part of that joint, 18, 19 parties that come together every morning and meet at Mallikarjun Kharge's chambers to decide on the opposition strategy. Samajwadi Party MPs say that this is an important issue. We've seen Ram Gopal Yadav, a member of parliament in Rajya Sabha, a very senior member of the Samajwadi Party and family to Mr. Akhilesh Yadav. After Mulayam Singh Yadav's demise, Ram Gopal Yadav and Shivpal Yadav are the senior most in that family. So he was part of that protest march that happened from parliament to the enforcement directorate as well. So even though Samajwadi Party has taken a stance to not have an alliance with the Congress and take a third front approach, here on the floor of the House at least they are coordinating.
Okay. Arunima, thank you. One last question right now to my colleague Pallavi, who's also covering this entire story. Pallavi, I want to ask you a question similar to what I just asked Arunima. Come 2 p.m., what is the plan?
Well, pretty much the same what we have been seeing. Keep the protests going, keep on cornering the government and demanding the setting up of a JPC. While the government is also insisting, and I would say specifically the BJP, that Rahul Gandhi must apologize. So as of now, there doesn't seem to be much of a breakthrough, Toya, despite the fact that the Speaker met individually chiefs of all political parties requesting that let there be some semblance of order in the House. I'll give everyone a chance to speak. What really is the priority for the government at this point of time also is the passage of the budget, because that's a constitutional requirement. So there could be a little bit of reprieve on that, on a little bit of understanding. We'll have to wait to see for Rahul Gandhi to return back to Parliament, whether he indeed gets that time which he wants to be allotted to him to put his side of the case. But BJP will be watching his speech very, very carefully. They'll be watching to see whether he is going to apologize. If he doesn't, then it's going to be mayhem once again. We are inching closer to the closure of the second part of the budget session, which is in the first week of April. Until now, Toya, lots of important legislations which the government really wanted to take up are still pending.
Okay, Pallavi, we've touched right now on the Samajwadi Party. We've also talked in some depth about the TMC. Of course, you're standing right now next to their leaders as they hold a protest. Pallavi, we haven't talked about the BRS and the Aam Aadmi Party, the two other very interesting opposition parties to watch. Can you bring us context?
Well, I mean, I think it's more an issue-based kind of a coming together or a support. I would say it's very interesting because every time we would see whenever the talk of opposition unity come up, they've always harped or underlined the fact that it's an issue-based support. That if there's a common issue, we'll all come together on it. Uske baad, once the parliament session ends, we'll have to go our own way. And that's what you're seeing. I mean, the AAP and Congress party's enmity and opposition to each other is very well known. And the AAP grows at the cost of the Congress party. And when the parliament session ends, ends. There are elections like Karnataka and Rajasthan coming up where the AAP is also trying to make a foray, and according to the Congress party is spoiling the game, because these are also the states which sees a one-on-one fight between the BJP and the Congress. You talk about BRS, I mean Telangana is a soft spot for the Congress party because they are the ones who claim responsibility for the formation of Telangana. The growth of KCR, who at one point of time was a UPA ally in 2004, and at the cost of the Congress party, hurts the Congress party. Today, the Congress is not much of a player in the state, and therefore BRS may be attending the opposition party unity meetings in the morning, but you certainly don't see them to be a part of the unity attempts once the parliament session ends, because you know KCR himself is trying to cobble up a kind of an opposition front. And I'm just quick recap, the protest by the Trinamool Congress has ended a short while back.
Okay. Two senior colleagues of mine, Pallavi Ghosh and Arunima, continue to bring us pictures from the ground. The Parliament, remember, is going back into session at 2 p.m. Thank you so much for staying with us over these last 2 hours. This was the Breaking News Show. I'm going to be signing out. Next, my colleague